Welcome back, Yelling and Screaming, Club 602's NFL show, brought to you by Phantom Odds. Sean, I don't know if you caught yesterday's debut of Dead Ball Dancing, but this is 2 days in a row that my myself and my co-host are wearing the same color, essentially. So, little quirk in the universe there.
I think great minds are starting to think alike a little more often.
The Browns are up 10-7 on the Vikings at halftime from London. Right now, that game has been atrociously boring. But anything that happens, we will pop in for you. Appreciate if you're here with us on a Sunday morning live. Sean, we got a really fun Week 5 slate with some really good games here.
Yeah, honestly, some solid matchups. That Browns Vikings game, I joked about that the Vikings playing overseas made sense, and obviously anybody who wants to watch the Browns, I mean, good luck to you. But it seems like it's going to be a fun little international slate this year. So I'm just glad that we're getting some early morning football. It just covers the whole day now. It's perfect.
Truly, I don't mind waking up. I had some F1 this morning, had some London football. We're good to go. But we did have a Thursday night game. Another one here that ended up being, I think, more exciting than I was expecting. The 49ers hang on to beat the Rams 26-23. Give me some overreaction from Thursday night football.
Honestly, it was exciting as I'd hoped that a Thursday night game should be. Divisional matchup between two teams who really want to make their stance in their division, and the Rams showed once again that sometimes play calling is really the big deal. They played a solid game. They were in position, in my opinion, to kind of take the game at the end there, tie it up, go into overtime, and you know showed that defense that they had in the second half that had been really bolstering and playing well in that second half really could have made the difference there and decided they were going to put the ball in the hands of their offense. And it was a decision to me that didn't make sense. But Sean McVay's a NFL Super Bowl winning head coach, and he's the one who makes those decisions. And you got to live by the sword or die by the sword. And in that instance, he died by the sword. So I thought that it was a solid game by their team. Second half, very strong showing. They keep showing me flashes of being a really, really good team and flashes of needing to really figure out what's going on. And it just seems like they can't get it together when they need to in order to win games.
The NFL is always kind of described as a "what have you done for me lately" kind of league, and yes, Sean McVay is a Super Bowl winning quarterback or coach, but since that Super Bowl win, what have they done? He's supposed to be this offensive genius, and he continuously is putting a really talented team into positions where they are losing games. I know it's on the players. I know it's on the flow of the game, but at the end of the day, the head coach is the head coach. And when your entire shtick, your entire existence in the NFL is offensive genius, and you're losing these tight games, I think at some point that has to come home. That has to be a reflection of what he's doing with his offense or with his personnel or with his coaching staff, because the head coach is the team. We see that in the NFL all the time. So I'm a little worried for the Rams because it doesn't seem like they can win big games or close games or tightly contested games. And that's the NFC. So I'm a little concerned there.
I think they should be very concerned about ball handling. It does not seem like they know how to keep the ball, especially when they're in position to really make a difference. I mean, goal line fumbles and drop passes. There were a few very, very open, easy passes in this game that would have helped them continue with drives that they were not able to execute on. And that's the difference. That's the pedigree between the championship teams and the always on the outside looking in teams in the NFL is whether or not they can execute when they need to. We can talk all day long about teams having all the talent in the world, the Puka Nakuas and Devontae Adams. I mean, that offense, bringing Blake Corum in after they already had the workhorse in Kyron Williams, and you see how well they can play when they're actually on target. They're on target. They're on task. Their team can drive that ball down the field. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to getting the ball in the end zone, that's where they fall short. They're a team who has all the pedigree to score 35 points in a game, but ends up scoring 20 to 20, 26. And sorry, but if your defense can't hold them, you can't win a game. And so, a couple of disappointing weeks for them. I'm sure that they're hoping to really have the rest of this season fan out a little bit better for them. But what is weird to me is this Niners team. They're winning games that I'm not thinking that they should be winning, and this is without their star quarterback.
Without everyone. I mean, they're winning games with no one playing.
Yeah. So does that mean that their defense is better than we expected? Or is it, just that they're getting lucky in situations and executing when they need to in these games? And then when they bring these guys back, I mean, how good is that team going to be? So, I'm sure that I know the people in San Francisco are really excited about the rest of this season because all they see is a team that's winning when they don't have all their weapons.
And that's, I think, something I want to keep an eye on, especially in an NFC West that I think is good from a talent standpoint, but will probably not be good from a record standpoint. The Niners are going to get healthy. And when they get healthy, those players will be very well rested. And these are players who have injury concerns seemingly every year. If they've wrapped up the division with 8 wins and they get everyone back, that's a playoff team to watch out for because that's a full-strength Niners team without any miles on them. And they're going to sneak into the playoffs by winning one of the not great divisions. But once you're in, right? Once you make the playoffs, it's a whole new season. So I think if they can continue to win games like this, call it luck, call it chance, call it skill, it doesn't matter, right? A win's a win. If they can continue to win without most of their team and a Christian McCaffrey who looks like is still not 100%, that's a playoff team that's scary as hell for everybody else in the NFC.
Definitely agree with that.
All right. Anything else from Thursday, or can we jump into this game of the week?
Let's jump in.
Carson Wentz back in the game with a shoulder brace on. I cannot imagine that Carson Wentz with a shoulder brace is better than your running back throwing passes, but here we are. Game of the week. Sean, I labeled this one NFC middle class, and I'm not sure that that's fair, but we could get into that a little bit. We've got the Bucs and the Seahawks. And really what I'm excited for here is that I'm glad both these teams are good at the same time. Because outside of Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl recently down there, people don't really get to see the Bucs and the Seahawks play football, whether it's time zone or national profile. But these two teams are good, and these two teams are coached really well, and they're fun to watch.
They're two teams with veteran quarterbacks, even though they're not necessarily the most winning quarterbacks who have been through some strife, guys who feel like they are way more talented than most of the NFL gives them credit for. They're teams that honestly are very enjoyable to watch. At any point, you can see the Bucs put up some really, really good points, some great plays. And then, same thing with that Seahawks team. I got a buddy out there in Pennsylvania who's a big Seahawks fan. And that 12th man is always something to watch. They're teams that I really enjoy watching. But you are absolutely correct. When it comes to the NFL, these teams are teams that you catch to be those mid-tier teams. They're always on the cusp in the NFL. They're definitely playoff caliber teams, but you could also see them miss the playoffs. And so it's always fun to watch because they always feel like teams that they're giving their all on the field every single week. They don't take games off. When they lose, it's always a heartbreak for their fans. But when they win, it always feels like a triumph. There's never a game where you feel like, these teams are going to be teams that are going to blow out the competition. And it doesn't feel like there's a game where like they're always an underclass team. And so it's a weird little matchup here where like you could see either one of these teams like pulling out a 40-point game. Just on how they've played earlier in this season. But at the same time, you could also see them get real stymied as an offense. And so it's going to be fun to watch both of them play this week. trying to really prove that they are, that they are in that next level of NFC caliber teams. They want to be in that class with the Eagles and the Lions and those powerhouse teams that we're seeing in the NFC. So you're going to see these teams battle it out this week, and I'm really, really excited about this game.
Yeah, I'm pumped for this one. I was really, really tough on the Seahawks in the offseason. I said things like downgrading across the board. I compared their current roster to a wannabe version of their roster from last year, but they look good. I am still concerned with the running game, but you put all three of those running backs together, and they're the number one running back in the NFL. They're putting together a successful run game as a committee. But Baker's the real deal. Baker Mayfield, man, I want to see him put together a playoff run. I want to see him go deep because I don't want Baker to be a no-ring guy. He is so much fun to watch. He puts up such great stats. He seems to have such a great attitude about the game. When you see him talking to teammates and talking in interviews. And if he doesn't get a ring, whether that's right or wrong, if he doesn't get a ring, who cares? We're going to look back and, remember Baker Mayfield? It's going to be like a fun stat at trivia night. He's going to be like, the only quarterback with 30,000 yards passing to only have one season above 500 and no playoff wins. Something stupid. I really want him to have a deep run. And I think with how good the NFC is, it's way premature to be like, yeah, Bucs win the Super Bowl this year, but he has the talent. The talent around him on that Bucs team, at least on the offensive side of the ball, is playoff caliber.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if it can get there, but that's what I'd like to see from Baker. So I like the Seahawks in this game, but for my narrative, for Baker's narrative, I need the Bucs to win this game, and I need him to do it convincingly.
At home, the Seahawks are tough to beat regardless of who their opponent is. And the Bucs just put up a fun. They play such a fun game. They play loose. I don't know what the situation is. Bucky Irving is a guy who, honestly, this year people saw he was going to have more of a breakout season. And so that Seahawks team, their defense is really, really showing. That they can hold their own for a bit in the NFC. But again, two mid-tier teams who are just pressing on the ceiling, trying to push their way through to say, I am top tier here in the NFL. In the NFC especially, it's going to be a good, fun game to watch. I usually am take the over type of guy. But for this game, for some reason, I'm feeling like the defenses might shine through a little bit more in this game. So if you're...
No, Bucky's out for 2-3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So
that changes it up there. That definitely shifts your line, guys. Always watch those injuries. The NFL is really the game of injuries. It is how you you could talk about any given Sunday, but that really comes down to who the hell on your team is healthy and who isn't. And so, losing a talent like that, losing the guy in the backfield who you can rely on, definitely going to affect the Bucs, especially in an away game this week. So, if I'm betting, man, I'm probably taking the Seahawks in this game as well.
Jordan Mason, 3-yard touchdown run. Vikings come out of halftime, 8 plays, 71 yards, drive straight down the field and scored. It's 14-10 Minnesota. That Seahawks game is 3.5 points to the Hawks, over under sitting at 44.5. That'll definitely be one that I'm keeping an eye on. Obviously, our game of the week. You can pick that game and every other game on Chainlink, chainlink.st. Link is in the description to this video. That's our app. It's free. It's fun. You support the show just by making an account and playing. So check that out. Pick the game of the week. Let us know in the comments if you have the Bucs or the Seahawks. I do know that the Seahawks and the Mariners share a parking lot, and those games are back-to-back this afternoon. So that should be a fun day in downtown Seattle.
Fun day in Seattle.
Let's jump into this Week 5 slate here. Some interesting ones, some kind of sleepers. I guess let's kick it off with the top here. Cowboys and Jets. Dallas sitting 1.5, 2. I have this as a get real game. I have no idea who these two teams are, and it's week 5. On paper, looking at this, trying to like put the blinders on, I think the Cowboys are the better team, which isn't saying a whole hell of a lot. But what I want to see from the Jets here is I want to see some quarterback play. I want to see why they chose Justin Fields as their starting quarterback. And against the Cowboys defense that has gotten shredded several times, this might be the game for him to show that off.
Several times. The Cowboys defense is Swiss cheese. They are very, very, very porous. And to end up tying a game, which to the Cowboys' credit is a game that I expected them to lose in general, just shows that the NFL is really, really, really a fickle beast. The Packers had every instance in that game to win. The Cowboys, obviously a team that thinks that they're a playoff caliber team at every way, shape, or form, but not showing any of it. Who ties a game in the NFL?
I love it. Come
on. Much. And a 40-point tie, like come on. You just all you
did.
I mean, you made fantasy captains really, really happy by that score. But if you're either one of those teams, you are knocking your head like, what are we doing wrong here, and why can we not break through? And the Jets are a team that I just don't have any confidence in their offense right now. Their play has just not been very consistent, and so it should be another fun game. Honestly, another 40-point tie would be right on par for both of these two teams. I am so bearish on these two teams right now. Like, they are definitely not playoff caliber teams in the way that they performed early in this season. Both of them definitely have to show me something really, really strong this week to say, hey, we early on in this season, we are just trying to feel our team out. Now we're ready to make our move. Now we're ready to show that we are a class of the NFC, but they're just not giving me any of that energy. The Cowboys have been so inconsistent as an NFC team, playing against other NFC teams, and then you've got the Jets, who have just been a very mid-tier team. I don't really know what's going on with their quarterback play, but I don't feel like it is consistent enough for them to be a team that's really going to show you anything in their division, if not in their conference.
The Giants and the Saints is a game that is being played today in the NFL. All I had on this, I have both quarterbacks throwing an interception as part of a small parlay. That's all I got this. You have anything on Giants Saints?
I just want to say that for anybody who watches football, anybody who's a college football fan, anybody who's an NFL fan, we have a weird opportunity today that you don't get to see. 5 quarterbacks from one school who pretty much played consecutively will all be starting in the NFL today. That is something that you don't see. If you're Lincoln Riley, you should be the most hyped up coach in college football history, because that is something you don't see. As not so great as people expect, as people think Spencer Rattler is, he is still an NFL starting quarterback. Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts. You got so much of a class of quarterback in that Oklahoma team that I just never thought that I would see that in my years. So I think that that's the coolest part of the fact that this game is happening today.
That's an air raid, baby. Air it out.
I know, man. I know the late Stoops, Lincoln Riley years, man. That was a fun year. That was some fun football to watch, and they're still a good team this year. But I want to say that's probably the most interesting part about this game is the fact that that 5 Oklahoma quarterbacks will be playing today. Otherwise, Giants defense has all of the talent and none of the ability to stop the other team from scoring. And what we said last week about that Saints team is a team that what we expected them to do was to all we expected them to do was to break your spread, and that's exactly what happened. But otherwise, not too much to expect from them this year. I don't see Spencer Rattler being a quarterback that's going to drive any team towards a playoff season or a winning season for that. And so really this is just, kudos to Dart for getting his first win against the Chargers team that absolutely should be ashamed of themselves. But this week we should see a 2-0 Giants team basically starting their new quarterback era. And as long as he stays healthy, I think Dart's going to be their guy moving forward.
Sean, late breaking news out of Indianapolis. I want to remind our viewers we never cheer for injuries. That is just not something we do. However, Mark Sanchez drunkenly assaulted someone in their vehicle last night in Indianapolis, was stabbed several times. He will be inactive for calling the Raiders-Colts game. So, moving to the football, Raiders and Colts. Is there a Richardson trade coming up here, Sean, right before the deadline?
I don't see it, only because I don't know a team that really needs him or wants him. The best fit for him would probably be Washington. But I feel like they're comfortable right now with Mariota and just let Daniels do what he's got to do to heal up. Maybe Carolina.
I was thinking Cincy.
Cincy. So here's my thing. Cincy's got no reason to do that because this season 100%. Is a wash. This season's a wash. You're not going to waste the money on doing something like that, bringing a guy in. I mean, just Browning's not good, but your defense was terrible last year to begin with, so it's not like you're expecting too much from him. He is a placeholder. What you need to do is figure out how to bolster that defense. And so if I'm Anthony Richardson, I'm about to have the best backup career that I could possibly have. But Daniel Jones is definitely the better quarterback in that situation, in that room. I'm just hoping that my Raiders can kind of start putting some pieces together. But realistically, this game at home feels like it's a game of the Colts should win. So we'll see how it plays out. But if I'm a Colts fan, I'm looking pretty happy right now with our pickup of Daniel Jones.
Colts favored by 7 here. I really like what the Colts are doing. I really like how they look. Obviously, anytime you can kind of lean into JTT, just hand the ball off there. You don't have to do a whole lot. The Raiders have looked good at times in the front 7. I don't know if that translates to stopping Jonathan Taylor. I got the Colts winning this one.
The Raiders' issue is their quarterback play. That's just my very, very real opinion.
Well, and if you had told me that at the beginning of the season, I would have called bullshit on you, because Gino's thing is that he doesn't make the kinds of mistakes that he's making. He's got 2 games with 3 interceptions. I don't understand what has shifted. Obviously, there's no wide receivers on this team, so you don't have anybody to throw to. But he was always
offensive line.
a guy that hit his spots, So I don't know what he's seeing, or if he's razzled because he's getting pressured so much. But yeah, the quarterback play's been not great.
In my opinion, it's also, I feel like we're getting that Jets kind of feel from Geno Smith as well. The biggest issue for me, I think, is me. And playing in Seattle might have been a great place for you to play, because there's no drama with football there. It's just love. They're still reeling on that Marshawn Lynch, Sean Alexander, that Russell Wilson, like that Legion of Boom. Like, they still have so much love for their team there. Vegas is a different beast. Obviously, a lot of guys go there and they don't know how to play, or they get maybe one or half a season where they play well, and then afterwards, I mean, look what happened with Devontae. Look what happened with Khalil. It's not an easy place to play. Somebody who's from Philadelphia and knows how different people are when they play against when they're playing in one city versus another city. Sometimes some places people shine, and sometimes people are not shining. And right now, he is looking very, very, very rusty.
Dolphins Panthers is another game that is happening. This one, I think this is an opportunity for the Dolphins to get a win, a feel-good win, and kind of see what this offense looks like without Tyreek Hill. I expect Darren Waller to be heavily involved today. Waddle's probably going to pull doubles. This Panthers secondary isn't as bad as the numbers would suggest. Having a quarterback like Tua sitting back there kind of negates all the extra time you're going to get with no pass rush because he'll just force himself into errors. So this one might end up being interesting, but I think this is the Dolphins' game to lose.
Honestly, Carolina's looking for a win, and this is a battle of the South right here. I think it's a game that the Panthers are going to put everything that they have at getting a win here. We know that there's a lot of pedigree, there's a lot of talent on Miami, but we can't expect them to win these games unless they really show us on the field that they're going to put everything together. They have all of the weapons available to them, even with no Tyreek, in order to be able to pull this game out. So it's just going to come down to whether or not they can execute this week. Tua is a guy who at any given day can throw for 300, 350 yards. And so are we going to see that Tua on the field today, or are we going to see concussed Tua today? Because that's really what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a guy who has to put the ball on his receivers and make the throws in order to help his team win. They can't win without him. And so we really need to see that from him today.
A long sustained drive, 13 plays, 69 yards for the Browns. Njoku on a 9-yard touchdown pass from Dylan Gabriel is 17-14 Browns with 3 minutes left in the third. Broncos-Eagles is a fun one this week. Eagles said they have no intention of trading A.J. Brown, which probably pissed him off this morning when that came out. But the Eagles are winning ugly. And like we talked about earlier, winning the games is really what matters. They're one of the best teams in the league until proven otherwise. I like the Broncos. I like Bo Nix. I think they're better than their record. They're better than the product on the field. I don't think they're better than the Eagles.
They're definitely not better than the Eagles. You are absolutely correct. The Eagles are winning ugly. But remember, last year's AFC Championship team was the team that won most of their games by less than 3 points. So the NFL, you are absolutely correct. The name of the game is getting the wins. And right now, until I see otherwise, nobody is better than the Philadelphia Eagles at doing exactly that thing. The Eagles not trading A.J. Brown to me is not something that really was ever on my mind. I didn't see that being the case. And the reason why I don't is because I see on the sideline the appreciation of the players for A.J. Brown. And I think that that's a different scenario. It's also hard, and don't get me wrong, a lot of guys in the NFL are very ego-driven. They want to be the guy who is putting up the stats, putting up the numbers, and being the reason why their team wins. And I think that A.J. Brown still feels that way in Philadelphia, but I think it's such a dynamic team that they win so many different ways that any given week, the guy is the guy. A.J. Brown a couple weeks ago, who they just said, you're like, you know what? Let me just throw the ball to him. And you see how talented he is as a receiver, and you see how good that passing offense can be when they actually put it together. But I think they're just a team whose goal is to win games. I just had this conversation with my family yesterday. My mom and dad, shout out mom and dad, Sean and Tanya, are Eagles fans. And I said this to them. I said, the Eagles got one song, and everybody knows Fly Eagles Fly, but there's really another one that always comes to mind. And it's they don't like us, they don't like us, they don't like us, we don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. They don't like us, we don't care. At the end of the day, that team knows how to win games. And the Broncos are going to have a tough time playing at the Link today because they're going to have a lot of noise. They're going to have a defense who's going to be swarming them. I'm just not seeing the same pizzazz from Bo Nix as we saw last year. He just doesn't look like a guy who other teams aren't expecting to do what he's doing. And for a top-tier caliber defense and an offense that when they choose to can kind of click on any different level, they can throw the ball down the field when they need to. They can run the ball when they need to. They're playing 11-man offense where you don't know who's going to be the guy holding the ball. It's a team that feels complete and feels like a team that's going to win the game no matter how they put the product on the field. And so that's what I'm expecting today from the Philadelphia Eagles, is another instance of just, I won't call it mastery of the game, but a mastery of winning and finding ways when your team isn't on 100%. Like, imagine the Philadelphia Eagles when they're 100%. We haven't even seen that beast yet. We've only seen them limping along half the time. We've seen them figure it out in the second half. We've not seen their offense put together a masterful performance this year. We've seen a very, very stout defense. We've seen some mastery on special teams. And so they're a team that is 100% the scariest team in the NFL because at all levels, they can make it happen to get the win.
Defending champs.
But I will say this: they are a team that does not feel or does not perceive themselves as a defending champs caliber team. That the Chiefs, that pedigree that we saw, where it was that hoity-toity, like, oh, we're the class of the AFC for a couple of years that we saw. That is not the energy that Philadelphia plays with. They still play with this come from behind, grit, grind it out style of play and style of football that doesn't make it feel like we're the defending champs, somebody come beat us. It's like, you come play football, we come play football. That's how it feels every time I watch them play a game. And so I don't think of them as defending champs, honestly. That's what the NFL might see. That's what fans might see. But they're not playing football every week with this pedigree. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder every single week, and it's fun to watch.
I'm done talking about the Ravens until January. This team, this is the best team in NFL history to be completely meaningless. They lost every single time they had a chance to prove they're better than the playoff teams. This Ravens team will make the playoffs. I don't care about this injury. They'll be there. I'll talk about the Ravens again in January. I'm going to try to hold myself to that. This Ravens team is irrelevant. They are worse than every playoff team. We'll see them in January.
They're definitely worse than most playoff teams. I think their defense is really atrocious. They just don't know how to stop teams from scoring, and that's the name of the game. I will say that, honestly, they have enough time to get it together, but we've seen this in the past couple seasons in that they are a powerhouse regular season team, but it means nothing when it comes to the playoffs. Whether or not the Ravens are the 6th seed or whether or not they're the number 1 seed doesn't really matter if you can't put it together in the playoffs. And so, honestly, unfortunately, with the Lamar injury, that makes your team slightly less potent. Obviously, he is a dynamic player, an MVP player, not caliber, an MVP player, and on an offense that is just rocked with talent. But talent doesn't win games. Execution wins games. And so I would not be surprised if they lost this game against a poor Texans team, who CJ Stroud just came out the other day and says he feels like he's getting old. But that's the NFL for you. At the end of the day, these guys take a lot of hits. They take a lot of contact. They're expected to just get up and keep on trucking. And sometimes your body's just not into it. So, we're going to have to keep a watch on his career, because for a guy who we were looking at saying, hey, he could really move up in the NFL, and just become that next man up, as far as the, quarterback play in the AFC, we're not expecting that anymore from his career. I'm expecting it to kind of fizzle out at this point. I'm
on record on this show saying that Stroud ain't shit. But what I do want to just remind everyone is that the best Cowboys quarterback of the last 10 years is starting for the Ravens in this game.
The best Cowboy quarterback in the last 10 years is hilarious. Honestly, I only remember 2 Cowboys quarterbacks in the last 10 years. And they're both the exact same guy. Remove his face, remove his name.
Check the numbers. All he does, check the numbers. Cooper Rush, baby.
Cooper Rush, honestly, gets to play some of the best football of his career because he has zero expectation. He gets all of the talent, none of the expectation. Honestly, this could be another breakout game for Cooper Rush. He gets to be one of the luckiest guys in the NFL and play with some of the most talented guys on a team, playing against a team who we are not expecting to be any good on defense. So I am hoping for him. Honestly, if you're a guy who needs a fantasy quarterback this week and you have the availability, pick Cooper Rush up, because I feel like he's going to have a game today. He's going to have a game.
I don't have anything really on this one. This is not going to be pretty. What do you got, Sean?
The quarterback play here really is just going to be, I think it's going to be fun to watch. You're going to get two guys who are going to be all over the field today. If Kyler can get it together, it should be a win. The Titans team obviously still rebuilding. They don't have the pieces right now in order to really move anywhere in the AFC, in their own division, let alone in the AFC in general. And really, if you are the Cardinals, like this should be a gimme game. Playing at home, playing without your starting running back, but still have the opportunity here to really do some things and show that you are still in that race for your division. I expect the Cardinals to come out. If they play fast and loose, it's their game to win. I think that you're going to see a Titans team that's just feeling themselves out, figuring things out. Not a team that anybody expects to really put up any big numbers, but if they have the chance, they are going to go out there. Cam Ward's going to sling that ball. He's going to really move around the field and get that offense going. And so, if you're the Cardinals, you gotta stop the energy from that offense. So I'm going to expect the Cardinals here to hopefully pull this one out.
I had forgotten something. I just bet the Titans money line plus 330. The Black Ops 7 beta came out on Thursday and runs through this weekend.
Okay.
I missed that. I probably had an opportunity to get a better line, but I just took the Titans plus 330. I would encourage everyone because Kyler has not been studying film. Kyler is going to try to get through this.
He's been studying film, all right.
Yeah. He's probably on stream right now.
In the locker room. Hold on, guys.
Lions, Bengals. This is a 10.5 point spread. I heard from one of our guys. This is David Montgomery's first time playing in Cincinnati, first time playing in front of his home crowd. First time his sister, who had a bad car accident, has seen him play since her accident. Lions by 1 million. I like Monty to score.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be a fun game to watch because we know that the Bengals defense has gotten a little bit better this year, but is not still a premier. And I think the Lions defense is going to keep the Bengals offense off the field, which is the only chance that they have. If the Bengals offense has time and the Lions don't have any time, then that's the best chance that they have. Clock control for the Bengals is the only chance they have to really win this game. But you never know any given Sunday. And so this is David Montgomery's time to shine right now. It's his day. And I hope that he does well. Shout out to his family. But at the end of the day, this Lions team is just way too powerful for this Bengals team this week. I expect to see that 10-point spread definitely be covered.
Washington football team against the Chargers, who are what? This one is mind-boggling to me. I've been riding the Chargers. I've been wrong. I am not sure. Outside of QJ and Omarion
and Keenan, don't sleep on my guy.
Well, so what I was going to say is outside of those two, the weapons are exactly what we think they're going to be. You know, QJ's kind of come on out of nowhere. Omarion's a rookie, playing well, obviously, but everything else on this Chargers team is pretty static. But they're still finding ways to lose games that I don't think they should lose. So coming to this one, they're 3-point favorites against a Washington team that is inconsistent, and part of that's injuries. Part of that's they traded away their starting running back to start the season. I need to see it from the Washington running game. But I'm a little concerned that I don't know as a handicapper, as a bettor, as an NFL fan, like who are the Chargers?
I wouldn't take any bets on this game because I don't think that you really know who the Chargers are. Their identity for me is not locked up. They looked really, really strong at the beginning of the season. You thought, hey, this was their season. Honestly, as someone whose team is in their division, I was expecting them to be the class of the division, and they are just starting to really look like the Chargers of old. They look like they have a very, very good quarterback who's going to throw for a bunch of yards, and at the end of the day, they're still not going to pull out a W from the game. And so I think that's the hump that they have to get over. They can look really great at times, but they can also look so mediocre at times. And taking a loss to a Giants team who nobody expects to be any good against a rookie quarterback, I think they're going to come in angry today. They have to be angry today. If I'm them, I'm mad. If I'm them, I'm furious. Not only that, but they're the only afternoon slot game today. It's bye week season. It's bye week, so we got a lot less games than we normally have. They're the only afternoon slot team game that I would expect that's really going to have a tight knit contention, a game that's actually going to mean something. In this afternoon slot. And so if I'm them, I have to be very, very frustrated with the play early on in this season. And I got to get back to that, to what we expect from this team. There's too much talent and too much consistency statically, as you said, with the players knowing each other, knowing what they need to do, Herbert getting the ball to where he needs to, in order for his receivers to really make the most impact. But they just have to pull it out today.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I need to see it. I need to see it because they're running out of time. They're running out of time to put this together. If the Chiefs, who we'll talk about in a minute, come on. I mean, they're still the Chiefs, right? They still have a Hall of Fame quarterback. And like the idea is that the Chiefs always struggle early and the Chargers will be ahead of them. Well, if the Chargers don't win the early season games, they're not going to be ahead of anybody. So I really need to see it. Sunday Night Football, Patriots, Bills. This line's moved a little bit, 8.5 right now for Buffalo, who I think we can agree is the better team. What do you have on Sunday Night Football?
Divisional matchup, honestly, a game with the red, white, and blues. I'm excited to see what jerseys actually come out. That's probably the part that I'm more excited about is who wears what. But yes, the Patriots are a team who, for me personally, still in that rebuild. Divisional game, the Bills are definitely the better team. We'll really see what happens in the run game. I think that this is the thing that Josh Allen has been missing from his team. Obviously, the defense still has some work to do. But what they're going to end up doing is to control the clock and keep the Patriots off the field, then it should be their game to win by at least 2 scores.
Monday Night Football, Chiefs at Jaguars. It ruined my narrative. I had my fun narrative where the Chiefs would lose last week and come into Monday Night Football against the Jags and lose against the Jags. Chiefs turned it on. They won their game. I think that narrative is out the window. There's no way in my mind that the Jaguars win this game now. They are far inferior to the Chiefs. This is a real stinker of a Monday night game for me.
I actually have a very different opinion on that. I think this is actually going to be a really important game for both these teams. If you're the Jaguars, if you on Monday Night Football in prime time, if not win, but just put some hands on the Chiefs, you think that you're classed up. You're moving in the right direction as an organization, as a franchise, and you feel like you're a playoff caliber team coming in very, very hot early on in this season. I mean, the Jaguars, I expected nothing from. I really didn't. I just didn't see too much from them. But 3-1 right now, 2-0 at home. And you've got a guy in Travis Hunter who really feels like might be a shift in the team energy. There's definitely a shift in the team energy. I think it's something that I've not seen in the NFL, and it's what we see with Shohei Ohtani in baseball right now with that LA team, with that Dodgers team. I think there's something to be said about a guy who's playing offense and defense and doing both things well. I will say that people might sleep on, say what you will about him, but I think he's much more of an energy guy than you give him credit for. I think that if you're on offense and you've got Travis Hunter out there and he's blocking for you, and then on defense you see him come down and he can and he can tackle guys, I think that that's one guy who can rally an offense and a defense to get things done in the crunch time. And I think that right now that team's energy is so good that at home against the Chiefs, if they win this game, they're 4-1, and you say, hold on now, who's this Jaguars teams that we haven't seen in a while? Counter that, if you're the Chiefs, and you come in here and you put a whooping on this Jaguars team, then it's like, all right, we're back to where we used to be. We're moving forward in this season, and we're going to go back to continuing. We're going to continue to be that class of the AFC. And I think that that's the difference in this game. I think realistically, a 3-2 Chiefs team is, while disappointing, not something that I couldn't expect, only because of how not good offensively this team realistically is. But if they just get back to the winning games aspect of the NFL, which is the name of the game, if they go back to just playing football and actually beating their opponents in the trenches where they need to, then we're starting to see a very different season from them. So this game actually, I think, has a lot more implications than people realize.
Chiefs sitting about a 3-point favorite. So Vegas agrees with you. Vegas agrees with you. Okay, that's week 5. You got any final countdown stuff, weather, injuries, line moves that spiked your interest?
Honestly, I'm still going to continue to watch this quarterback play. I mean, we have a lot of quarterbacks right now who are out. And so watching these teams and seeing really how many of these guys were system quarterbacks. If you're Washington, what are you feeling like? If you are San Fran this week, what are you feeling like? If you're the Cowboys, what are you doing keeping Dak if you get another loss here? Like, what? That's too much money. If you are Miami and you take a loss this week, why are you still keeping Tua around? If you're the Browns, who now are starting Dylan Gabriel, and you end up not winning this game today, like, what's going on for your franchise? And so I think that there's a lot of implications here for me on these NFL starting quarterbacks and whether or not they really are guys who teams should keep on their roster or should move on from. And obviously, if you're a team whose quarterback is injured, you're on a backup guy, and that guy's winning for you, you really need to start looking at whether or not are you going to bring him back in when he gets healthy, or are you going to let the guy who's shining shine? Honestly, I'm excited for this week of football. I think it's a good slate. I think most of the games are pretty evenly matched teams, whether it be injury reasoning for match or just where they are right now in their season. And it's a lot of significant games for me. I think this week they're going to see a bunch of games where you're either going to test to see if a team is ready to make that jump or if they are just, again, going to be that mediocre or bottom of the barrel team that we've seen in the past few seasons. So I'm excited to watch this week. It's going to be a fun week of slate of football.
Lions, Bengals, thunderstorms in the forecast. If there's anything we've learned this season, there will be a delay in that game. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, just enjoy week 5. Catch the end of the Browns game. But, thanks for tuning in with us. We appreciate you all. Week 6 is kind of a turning point. That's like a third of the way through the season. So, maybe next week we'll chat a little bit about what we've learned. But an awesome week 5 slate. Enjoy Sunday football, guys. Sean, you got anything else?
No, I'm just happy that we're out here. This time slot actually works really well for us, guys. Please continue to tune in with us every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. We love seeing your comments in the chat, and we want to make sure that we get into all of the nitty gritty. Make sure that you can get your fantasy lineups in. Make sure you can get your bets in. See those lines shifting right before the game start. So it's really, really been a great season of football. I'm just glad that we got to get another season in for this podcast, and I want to continue to give you guys all of the commentary that we can for each NFL week. So I'm excited for this season to keep going, and I'm going to be so sad when it's gone.
Huge thanks to our friends at Phantom Odds. Check out Phantom Odds if you like to talk trash in your fantasy football leagues but have trouble backing it up. They'll give you a little bet slip. You can send it over to your buddies and really make it count. This has been Yelling and Screaming. Enjoy NFL Week 5, and we will see you next Sunday morning.
Take care, guys.